So welcome to a very, very special episode. This episode is going to be my most favourite episode because it's about celebrations. And everybody knows that I love celebrations, especially because this is about celebrating 50 years of a country that was born in 1971. It's the Golden Jubilee era of, yes, you guessed it, of Bangladesh. And who better to celebrate it with than a very good friend of mine and somebody who has been instrumental in encouraging and platforming the Bangladeshi community here in Bradford. If you haven't heard of Bangla Bantams, then where have you been? If you haven't heard of the BEAP Community Partnership, then again, where have you been? I think for those of you who do know what I'm talking about, you'll know that I am joined today in this very special episode by the amazing Chief Executive of the BEAP Community Partnership, Humayun Islam, who is going to help us celebrate 50 years of Bangladesh. Hi Humayun, how are you?
Hi Fatima, I'm good, and thank you for this amazing opportunity to be part of this video.
We should be saying thank you to you. It's my honour to be sat here with you, to be celebrating a milestone, 50 years of, an amazing country. And especially because, as you know, my nieces and nephews are half Bangladeshi and they try and teach me the language. I know a lot about the food, obviously, but the language at my age, I think, is a bit hard to learn, but I'm learning bits and bobs. So it's a culture and community that I have been, deeply connected with, and being able to celebrate that here with you today, 50 years, is phenomenal, and it's such an amazing and proud opportunity for us, and obviously for all our audience as well. How does it make you feel though, celebrating it?
To be honest, I feel quite privileged and honoured to have this opportunity to represent Bangladesh, represent the community that I serve, and I just hope that it's been. It can be difficult 50 years, but Bangladesh has definitely improved as a country. Me as a British Bangladeshi, it's been, I've been educated, it's been a learning experience, learning my culture, my heritage from my parents, which I'm ever so always grateful for what they've taught me. And I just hope that we have another 50 years of celebrating Bangladesh going forward as well.
Amazing. So when you look back at your visits to Bangladesh, because I know, and for those of you who read our newspaper will know, that Humayun visits Bangladesh quite often. And I remember you telling me your very first visit as a 10-year-old in 1986. Let's go back to that time. Tell me about, your first experience of the village life and the culture and the people there.
Yeah, for me it was a total culture change, going to Bangladesh, the whole journey, I think, it was quite unique, where that was our holiday. And when you're talking about holiday, going there, it was a holiday for 6 months. So it's quite a long time to be in Bangladesh. And going there, seeing all the greenery, seeing so many people, it was a culture, and the weather, so warm. So all those experiences, meeting different family members and people telling you this is your uncle, this is your auntie, this is your all these different family members coming together. It was a really enjoyable time. Plus 6 months, at the time going back seemed like a very, very long time as well. Where growing up in the UK, you obviously would miss the UK as well. So yeah, I enjoyed the whole experience, going with my family, seeing my dad being very, very proud and being really, really happy during his time within 6 months. And at that time as well, my dad built his first house. We had a house, but he extended it, so he was really proud to show that off to the family as well. So yeah, it was a really enjoyable experience.
Oh wow, amazing. I think one of the biggest things that people talk about now, or when they look back, is about successes, is about achievements. When you look back, what do you think have been the achievements for Bangladesh and the successes?
Oh, I think, you know, when you look at the success of a whole generation, you know, I'm a second generation. I have my children who are third generation. The educational attainment has been a massive success, where you had the first generation coming to Bangladesh with coming to the UK, sorry, with limited education, working, you know, 12-hour shifts, and them giving that opportunity where they didn't want you to work those 12-hour shifts, and changing that culture for yourself. So I had the opportunity where I could go to school, go to sixth form, and then go to college and go to university, have all that experience, which I'm lucky enough to have a job, and I can change and have that influence within the community as well. So I think there's been a lot of Bangladeshis throughout the UK, especially in the south, within the East London area, where there's a big Bangladeshi community where they're not all in the catering trade, for example. There are a number of professionals, both male and females, who are doctors, who are engineers, who are solicitors, who are within sports industry, with our teachers. So I think there's been a significant success within the Bangladeshi community. But like all communities, we still need to work hard and still continue to make that difference within our own community.
Do you think that in the UK, you know, when you said that the Bangladeshi, you specifically point out that they're not all in the curry industry. Yeah. Do you think that they're stereotyped quite a lot, that, you know, that's what most people from this community do? And do you think that's wrong of people to stereotype? Or is it just because that's just how things are and that's how they were, and maybe things now changing?
Yeah, I think a lot of the wider community may stereotype the Bangladesh the Bangladeshi community, but I think also they should be proud of them being in the curry industry as well, because now you've got that second generation, for example, going in there, and actually, do you know what, they've taken that current industry to a different level. They've taken that entrepreneurial skill to that catering trade as well. So there is a success story as well within that catering trade. Plus, where they've not gone to that catering trade, there's been so many Bangladeshis in different fields as well. So there is that stereotype, but they also need to be proud that they're in that catering trade as well.
I like what you said, when they need to be proud, because back in when the first generation came, certainly when they opened curry houses, they weren't known as Bangladeshi curry houses. They were still known as Indian curry houses, because people were so used to India as a whole country, weren't they? We still hadn't got out that colonialism mindset either. But you're right, the second generation are now a bit brave, and they're quite happy to shave off the Indian tag of being an Indian curry house, and actually now proudly say, no, we're a Bengali curry house and we serve authentic Bengali cuisine. And you know, that's what I see, certainly within the curry industry, as being a major change, and people are being more proud of their heritage. Do you agree with that?
Oh, totally agree. You know, I think because we're in Bradford, we see a lot of the curry houses from the Kashmiri cuisine or the Punjabi cuisine, but actually outside of Bradford, you look throughout the country, I think it's about 90% are Bangladeshi curry houses. And like you said, a lot of them are branded as Indian curry houses. A lot of them are now, like you said, are going away from saying Indian houses. They are calling it Bangla Lounge or different names. And they are really proud to put that Bangla word within their menu as well. So they are becoming really, really proud to do that. So yeah, there is that second generation who are taking it to the next level.
Yeah, which reminds me about something you told me when I interviewed you earlier about, as a young child, you said that you wish you'd embraced your Bangladeshi heritage a bit more. Maybe would you say that it might have been a lot more difficult and a bit harder for the earlier generation to accept their Bangladeshi culture compared to today, because everybody now is talking about representation, about heritage, culture, roots, and people are a bit more open about talking and expressing themselves as well, that now perhaps we're getting to know more about the Bangladeshi community and the culture than compared to say a decade or so
That's
ago.
right, yeah, Fatima. I think what's really important is that where the Bangladeshis are a minority within a minority of within the Pakistani community and the Indian community. So when you went to school, you want to fit in with the South Asian community. So, you know, for me, people speak to me in Urdu, for example. I try to respond back in Urdu. I'd sometimes you think, oh, should I respond back or not? And then you got somebody asking for directions, for example. You know, you're there as a Bangladeshi kid, and you got that, you know, elderly Asian chap speaking to Urdu, and you're thinking, do you know what? If I respond back in English or say in a different language, they're going to think, you know, he's being rude. So you try to respond back as politely as possible. For me, it was trying to fit in all the time, growing up as a young Bangladeshi boy, you know, within primary setting. I went to primary, middle school, and then high school, continued always trying to fit in. And it is quite difficult. And then you do lose your heritage. And then it was about try to make sure your education also comes first. So kind of like you're there trying to study, you try to get your GCSEs, you're trying to get your A-levels, you try to graduate, and everything else is left behind. And to be honest, so fast paced as well. You forget about your culture, you're forgetting about your heritage. So it makes it really, really difficult as well. And I think with age and wisdom, and once you get married and settle down, you're thinking, wait a minute, you know what, I've lost a bit of identity here, I've lost a bit of, and you do reminisce and you do think that, you know what, I do really wish that I did. You know, we had Bangla schools that you could go to. I wish, you know what, I wish I didn't go mess about really. I wish you went there and you actually took it all in, and you learned that other language even more, and you could read and write. So for example, we did try to read and write it, but you're not doing it day in, day out. So what you learn as a child, naturally, if you're not doing it day out, you forget as well. And that's what happened. And a lot, I think, second generation, that is what happened. Our parents actually did try to put that emphasis on us, that you need to learn Bangla, you're learning the Arabic language as well, then you're learning English. And you think, oh my God, there's a lot of things. And then suddenly, as you grow up, you're doing your GCSEs, you become a teenager, and that is the last, and then you try to get a job as well. So there's all these things come into play where you do lose that
You're
identity.
trying to navigate so much. But something really powerful that you said, I mean, obviously because my heritage is Indian, yes, you're right. When you talk about the South Asian community in the UK, you've got the Indian and Pakistani communities who are sort of, you know, always seen as the prominent ones, and the Bangladeshi community, certainly here in the north anyway, compared to places like East London. So you were a minority within a minority, so it must have been doubly hard for you because you're trying to get accepted.
Yeah, we've always had to shout loud as Bangladeshis.
But also being accepted within the Asian community as well,
So, you know, you're going somewhere and a non-Asian person would think you're Pakistani, for example. And then you try to say, actually, no, I'm Bangladeshi, or then they think you speak the same language, the same. There's such a difference in there within the different cultures as well. And even within the Bangladeshis, there's different districts, like, you know, there's the Sylhet district, there's the Dhaka district, there's differences within there as well. So for us, it's always been difficult. But sometimes when you're younger, you're just trying to carry on as a young person, looking at your education, and then I think you definitely reflect and you think, you know what, I just wish I was more proud at that time. You know, I was proud to say actually that, you know, when I go home, I do have rice, there is fish there, but we have a number of dishes. When you go to a Bangladeshi home, you know, for us is we will have, you know, you have the rice, but you'll have a fish dish, you'll have a vegetarian dish, and you'll have a meat option as well. But you wouldn't say that, you know, going out. And also you'd eat with your hands. You know, when you're going into school, you're trying to fit in and having a knife and fork, and then you're at home, you're washing your hands and you're having it with your hands. You know, so it's all that culture, you're not sharing at all, really. And even having, you know, chapatis and things like that, you're not having it regularly. So you're looking at somebody else and thinking, you know, I'd use two hands to tear the chapati. And you see the other Pakistani person, they've got one hand. And you're thinking, that's quite good, is that? I wish I could do. You know, so you're looking at all these different, but it's the culture. But then you have, I used to have Pakistani friends to come home to my house, we're eating with their hands, and they'll struggle how to eat the rest. And I'm there eating, you know, normally, but you've got your Pakistani friends, they can't eat with their hands and they struggle, so you're giving them a spoon or a fork to eat.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think people outside of the South Asian community don't realise that we are really so different. We're not, you know, there's a few similarities in terms of celebrations and stuff, but in terms of these little etiquettes, they are actually quite different, aren't they? I just want to reflect back on, you know, when we were talking about successes and achievements. When I look at you, I see that achievement because, you know, you've told me about your father's journey. He came here in the 60s and he worked really, really hard in the mills, 12-hour shifts, constantly working, providing money, not just for the family here, but the family there. But then your generation came along and you worked hard, you studied, and today you're the chief executive of a major charity, a major organisation in Bradford, but also you instigated and sort of propelled this little group called the Bangla Bantams, which you've made world famous, not just famous in terms of nationally here in this country, but I think people know about it globally as well now. And that is what I call, you know, achievements and successes, you know, from people with Bangladeshi heritage. When you look at that now that I've mentioned those achievements and from where your father started to where you have taken it and perhaps where your kids are going to take it next and so on and so forth, how does that make you feel?
Well,
especially in the context of the 50-year celebration of the country itself.
Do you know what? I always go back to simplicity, you know, where, do you know what? Success is not just me. You know, when you mentioned the roles and Bangla Bantams, do you know what? I always try to go back to how did I get there? How was I given this opportunity? Do you know what? Without the support of my wife and my kids and family, I could never have achieved all these things, and the support of the community, you know, the board. So, do you know, I always go back where, you know, I used to do a lot of volunteering at BEAP and doing the sports side, and then working as well and doing things. If my wife could have said, you know what, you're doing all this, she actually said, I want you to get involved in the community, do what you can, you need to give back. So, you know, I always think back that, you know, if it wasn't for my wife at that time, I wouldn't be here and having these opportunities. So I'm thankful for that. And sometimes you forget that when you have all these successes throughout, you forget where it came from. And my wife actually she's never at the forefront. She won't be there, but she's always there at home to support me. And I always say, and I always think that if you don't have a strong foundation at home, how can you build a stronger foundation outside your home? So it's really important that I always reflect and I always think, you know what, there might be all these good news stories in the community, but you know what, I need to have that good news story at home as well, and give my time to my wife as well, give my time to my kids as well. And I think that is what's really important. So, for example, you know, for me, you know, it was my daughter's birthday last week. You know, she said, "Can you take me to get some donuts and stuff? Can you pick me up from school?" So, for me, I have to reflect back, thinking, you know, I've got all these meetings, but what's more important? So I went and waited for her outside school, picked up and took her there, and she had this tiara crown. She wore that, and she took that with her. But I think these are things that you sometimes forget as well, as you grow with an organisation, and you've got to reflect, thinking, do you know what? These are things where, if I was grown up, I wish I had more time with my family, but because my father or the mum was so busy, I couldn't. I wasn't given this opportunity to have that time. So I always think back, what would I want as a child? I'd want these little things where I can say, I want this, and I give my children that time. So I might be busy at work, but also I try to balance it out as much as I can, you know, at home. And I see the success, it's not me as an individual, I think it's the success of the community, because I could not deliver, the Bangla Band could not happen without the community and without the support of the community, without them involved. And it's talking about, and it's also about everybody involved. The Bangla Bantams, it's about encouraging all communities under that banner going to the games. So for me, there's different people from different areas, different faith backgrounds who have had the Sikh community go under that banner as Bangla Bantams, the Hindu community, the Muslim community, women and girls go under that banner, so they have that safe experience of going to the games through the Bangla Bantams. So yeah, I feel proud to be Bangladeshi, and it's that teaching from your father, really. You know, that it's about, you know, you as a potential leader, it's about creating other leaders. It's not about creating other followers. It's really important to create other leaders, and you share that knowledge and that skill.
Amazing, brilliant. That's amazing. And it's so humble hearing you say all of those things. I think I just want to ask about, you mentioned about you wish you had all these opportunities when you were younger. You wish you'd embraced the culture a bit more and you understood more about the Bangladeshi heritage and your roots. Do you find that you now try to give a lot more of that to your children? Do you pass on a lot? For example, the language, do they go to, like you said, there were loads of Bangladeshi schools that you could have gone and learnt more Bangla. Do you do that? Do you now provide those spaces for them?
Where possible, yeah, definitely. Like for example, I did go 2 years ago with my children. I thought it's really important they go to Bangladesh and they learn and see it for themselves. They've done that, and also for me, we've got a fantastic team as part. We've got as BEAP a BEAP culture group. Some amazing people are part of that group, and I learn from that. There's the Shaukat Ahmed, the Shinaz that you can speak earlier, there's Naz Khan, there's Ali Abid, there's Shahid Rahman. So we've got a really fantastic group where I actually learn from that group, because for me, I missed out on a lot of that culture where firstly, I was not educated in that sense. So I really enjoy when they tell me little things about certain things. I find it really fascinating. And then I bring on my take on, I've been a British Bangladeshi as well, and I understand more about how, what International Mother Language Day means, the history behind it. I understand more what Bangladesh independence is now, and I feel more passionate as a Bangladeshi. I'm feeling proud as a British Bangladeshi, and that's what we should all do. And I think it's so. I think at this stage now, it's so unique, and I think we should be proud to be different as well. A lot of the times when I was growing up, it's tried to fit in with everybody else. I think it's so important that we celebrate being different.
But isn't that better, rather than trying to fit in, to be allowed to be you?
Yeah.
To be allowed to, showcase your heritage, your roots, your culture,
Yes, 100%, Fatima. I think it's so important that we be proud of our heritage, be proud of our food, culture, our music that we've not touched on really. All these things that we need to be proud of.
Amazing. My last question to you, Humayun, before we finish. Unfortunately, I wish I had a bit more time. But what is it that you love about Bangladesh? What is the most amazing thing that you think about Bangladesh?
Ooh, there's so many things really. I think what can I say about what I love about Bangladesh? I think it's a combination of things really. The food, the people, the weather, the greenery, the smell, the soil. There's such a combination. When you go there, you really do feel to be proud to be Bangladeshi. Yeah. And you want to bring it all back. My dad would say that, that soil, that's his, that's what he feels, he's there. And for me as well, what I love is about Bangladesh, I can see that vision of my father being happy, and it's that smile, and that is what I love. It really does make them make my father, my family, and everybody else who's gone to Bangladesh. I've always had a positive experience of Bangladesh, and I hope other people have a positive experience and go back and be educated, understand your heritage.
Amazing. Well, happy 50 years of Bangladesh independence. Is there a way of saying it in Bengali or?
No, you said it, no.
Okay, so happy 50 years, Golden Jubilee. I hope that you're gonna, obviously we're living in COVID, so the celebrations are not gonna be as, as grand as we want them to be, but I hope that whoever's watching and yourself, your family and all the communities have a grand celebration. Thank you so much for talking to us, Humayun.
Oh, thank you. We will be celebrating Bangladesh Independence Day on Sunday, March the 28th through a Zoom event. And it's going to be shared on Facebook Live as well. And that's how we'll be celebrating it this year.
Oh, fantastic. So we'll let everybody know.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
And, I know that it's unusual circumstances, but there you go. That just shows what kind of a person he is, thinking out of the box and still making sure that people still enjoy the celebrations and get to join in with all the amazing festivities and embrace and learn more about the culture and the heritage as well.
Yeah, thank you, Fatima, for an amazing opportunity, and thank you.
No, thank you very much.